Welcome to today's Daily Walk in Wisdom. Today we are embarking on a new level of wisdom that we've not considered previously, called practical wisdom. It's what we find in the Proverbs. We've had the wisdom of worship, that's the Psalms. We have had the wisdom of suffering that comes through suffering, because everybody suffers in this world, and you need to know how to handle yourself during suffering. So we looked at Job. We've considered philosophical wisdom. That's the wisdom that you find in the book of Ecclesiastes. And we've had the highest level of wisdom of all, which is the wisdom of love, or romantic wisdom, and that's the wisdom that you have in the Song of Songs. Let me just say, I'll be revisiting that sometime in the near future, once we've done Proverbs, because it ended up being more of a systematic expose of, sounds like expository, working through the text line by line, and that was not my original intention. I kind of got caught up in the whole story there a little bit, and its implications for us in the church. So we'll be revisiting that. I think I could do better. Today, however, we figure out how to take all of those things that we've been learning over the last 12 months, nearly 11 months, say, and applying them into our lives in a practical way. So Proverbs is this book that teaches us how to do that. It tells us how we should act. It puts overalls onto our spirituality. If you can't work out your spiritual life, then you've not learned anything at all. You've got to be able to work it out. Plain and simple, God's word works. And Proverbs comes close to that kind of wisdom that we call common sense. Trouble with common sense is that it's not all that common. Solomon tells us, wisdom calls aloud in the streets, and she raises her voice in the public squares, and at the head of the noisy crowd she cries out. In the gateways of the city she makes her speech. And this simply means that this kind of wisdom can be found everywhere, so long as you want to find it. Seek and you shall find. Proverbs preceded that philosophy that we call pragmatism. In fact, we're told that God drew upon this wisdom from the very beginning. It comes immediately after the Psalms, so it's not enough for you to be a worshiper on Sunday. You've got to work out your spirituality from Monday all the way through to Saturday. The truths of Proverbs are those that have functional utility. That's what the church fathers meant when they said knowledge without practice is insufficient. And so here we have in the Proverbs, we have truth at work. So let me read to you. In Proverbs 1 verse 7, it says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and discipline. So Proverbs provides truth that is far deeper than scientific truth, because science can only tell us facts, whereas Proverbs is the truth that enables you to act. It not only tells you how to act, but it teaches us how to do so in a manner that best improves your well-being and success in life. So therefore, when the Proverb says the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, the first thing it is saying is that there is a fear that is healthy. Whilst most fear is unhealthy and unhelpful, there is a fear that will protect you. Fear will protect you from driving your car off a cliff. Just so, the fear of the Lord from a practical point of view is the beginning of wisdom, in that it will save you from driving your life off a cliff. The Proverbs also says the fear of the Lord is to fear the Lord is to hate evil. Evil is the absence of good, or we could say evil is the absence of God. Therefore, to fear the Lord is to look for God and include God in all of the things that we do, whether that's parents teaching your children how to pray, or it might be you driving your car in an excellent way. Now, all of that involves recognizing and acknowledging that God is involved in our lives. We drive our cars in a safe and excellent way because, well, God has given us our lives and the lives of all of those around us. And so we want to drive in such a way that honors that and protects that. God has given us our children, and we want to raise them up in a way so that they can know that God is involved with them, and so we teach them to pray. The fear of God, when applied to practical wisdom, teaches us that God involves himself in all of our daily activity. And the fear of the Lord will keep you on your knees. The inventor, and he was also a scientist, George Washington Carver, he wrote this. He said, "Without God to draw away the curtains, I would be helpless." He said, "No book ever goes into my laboratory. The thing I'm about to do and the way of doing it comes to me." He says, "I never grope for methods. The method is revealed in the moment I am inspired to create something new." And then he said this, "Anything will give up its secrets if you love it enough." And so the fear of the Lord, which is what he's talking about, acknowledging God in his scientific adventures and in his inventions, the fear of the Lord will cause us to love things in the right way. And when we do that, we will discover the secrets of the universe, the things, the mysteries that God has placed into all things around us. So knowledge without God comes to us like the tree of knowledge presented itself to Eve. It ends in death. Knowledge with God is a tree of life. The fear of the Lord changes our whole approach to life and causes us to pursue knowledge that it resides as a tree of life. If you have a healthy fear, the fear of God, then you'll treat knowledge in that kind of way. Whatever knowledge you gain won't puff you up. Rather, it will build you up. And the result is that the secrets and mysteries of life reveal themselves. You won't be striving for success. It will come to you in much the same way that the ways of doing things came to George Washington Carver when he presented himself before God in his laboratory. So inspiration and creativity come to us. That's how creativity works. It's not something that you try to work out in your head. It reveals itself to you. And they come to us initially in the form of questions and problems and tests and trials and difficulties that arise, so we can prayerfully find their solution. The answer then rises out of the ashes, so to speak, the ashes of our situation, and they reveal themselves to our consciousness so that we can then practically apply them, apply the wisdom of God into our life situation and into our world, into our sphere of influence, so that if our sphere of influence is our personal space, if I'm a student, if it's in my personal space, then it will be practically applicable within that situation. If my sphere of influence is within my home, then I'll have practical influence within my home. If my sphere of influence resides in the educational arena, if I'm a headmaster or if I'm a lecturer, then it will have practical application, not just intellectual, but practical application within the world in which I'm operating. If I'm a politician, likewise, within a sphere of influence, whatever I influence, I can find and access the wisdom of God and apply it within that dimension. If I'm a pastor, then it will be within the church. If I'm a mother, it will be with my children. Okay, so the Proverbs will help us translate the thoughts of God into our daily activity. And through consistent application, you'll become known as a wise person. Your children will come to you because you'll have answers that they'll be seeking in their lives. Our neighbors will come to you because they'll know that you can provide answers for whatever it is that they're going through. Solomon instructs us that the Proverbs will be a garland to grace our head and a chain to adorn your neck. So the head is the seat of our thoughts, and our neck represents our will. So every day our thoughts and our will are on display for all the world to see through the things that we say and do, that there is a wisdom available to us that is not just the natural wisdom of the world, but is a wisdom that comes to us through our acknowledgement of God within our lives. That's what it means when it says that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Yes. So God bless you. We're on a new adventure now, and we're in Proverbs, and we've got some time to spend within this marvelous book to learn all of the wisdom that God has given to us for our day-to-day activity. God bless you. We'll see you again soon for more wisdom out of the book of Proverbs.